Shanghai Party Chief, Chen Guodong, and Mayor Wang Daohan, deeply appreciated Jiang Shangqing's favors and promotions in the old days. To pay back Jiang Shangqing's goodwill, they both strongly endorsed the dead man's phony adopted son, Jiang Zemin, to become the next mayor of Shanghai. Jiang Zemin came to Shanghai during a time when urban reforms were just beginning. Citizens were faced with the prices of non-staple food products and other daily basic necessities that unexpectedly rose 17% within just 1 year. The high prices led to public discontent and gave rise to a student movement. At that time, it's Hu Yaobang, who presided over the CCP's Central Committee. And the reformist camp had the upper hand. So naturally Jiang Zemin presented himself as being part of the reformist camp. He went to a university to make a speech to more than 10,000 students. The students believed him at the time. During that period, Vice President of the Chinese University of Science and Technology, Fang Lizhi, after returning from his study at Princeton University in the United States, gave a series of speeches advocating democratic principles. In September, across the strait in Taiwan, the first opposition party, the Democratic Progressive Party, founded, and 14 years later, won the general election and set the stage for political change in Taiwan. At the end of 1986, the Party Committee of the University of Science and Technology refused the students to run against the designated candidates for the people's representative positions in the elections in Anhui Province. More than 10,000 students from the university took to the streets to demonstrate. The outcries later spread all over the country. Students in Shanghai requested dialogue with Jiang Zemin, and demanded political reform, freedom of the press, and a loosening of the governmental control. Jiang Zemin resorted to his old tricks, and took Chen Zhili, the Minister of Propaganda, with him, to give a speech at Shanghai Jiaotong University. He stepped onto the podium, a sheet of paper in hand, put on his thick glasses, unfolded his paper, and proceeded to speak about the achievement of the 5-year economic plan. The students, however, were noticeably disinterested. The 3,000-plus students booed and hissed at him, and some began shouting slogans. Jiang Zemin, with sternness in his voice, pointed at the most boisterous student, and said, "Jeering about me won't get you anywhere. Let me tell you, I have seen plenty upheavals. What's your name? I dare you to come up the podium. I dare you to make a speech." To his surprise, the student did get up, and walked up to the podium. He took the microphone and began talking confidently about the news and democracy. Then about 10 other students sprung up and went to the podium, standing face to face with Jiang Zemin, ready to debate. Jiang Zemin's legs began to shake as things escalated. Most shocking to him was that the students went so far as to ask an extremely touchy question: "How did you become the mayor?" He smiled awkwardly in response, as he retreated to the edge of the platform. When people had turned their attention from him, Jiang Zemin signaled for the Minister of Propaganda, Chen Zhili, to take pictures of each student who came up to the podium. He wanted to take revenge on each of them later. After the students' emotionally charged speeches, it's finally Jiang Zemin's turn to speak. He plucked up his courage, cleared his throat, and began to recite loudly, in English, the preamble of the U.S. Constitution, and then Lincoln's 1863 Gettysburg Address. The night before he had gone over each, time and again, so as to commit them to memory. Then he began to rumble about how the leadership of the party would be necessary for democracy. The students, bowed neither by persuasion nor threat, remained fervent in their defiance of Jiang Zemin, even though they have lost the microphone. The afternoon's meeting lasted for over 3 hours. As the atmosphere grew only increasingly more tense, Jiang Zemin lied, and said that he had an appointment concerning foreign affairs and had to leave. Panic-stricken and eager to escape, on his way out, Jiang Zemin accidentally banged his head on a partially open door. Though the cut was not deep, it bled much. He used his hand to cover his forehead, hurriedly walked out, got into his car, and slipped away. His panic exit was for quite some time the standing joke among students. The first thing Jiang Zemin did, upon returning to his office, was to make a phone call to the party chief of the Shanghai Jiaotong University, He Yusheng. He instructed He go to Chen Zhili, and collect the photos of the students from that afternoon. Jiang Zemin urged him repeatedly to uncover the students' names and class years. The next day the students of Shanghai took to the streets, and gathered at the People's Square, marching all the way to the city government, and demanding further dialogue with Jiang Zemin. Jiang Zemin ordered 2,000 police to disperse students by force. The most rebellious were whisked off by bus. The students dispersed in an uproar. To Jiang Zemin, the episode was taste of sweet success, success in using political might and force to suppress dissidents. Those students whose photos were taken by Chen Zhili were not in the same class year, and graduated at different times. In those days, China had a system whereby the government allocated college graduates to different locations. Jiang Zemin, the mayor, personally involved himself for several years in the petty work of following up those students. He was not satisfied until each of the students was sent off to the most remote and poverty-stricken area of China. At meantime, Jiang Zemin instructed to shut down all student organizations and publications. No student gathering were allowed, except dance parties. This way he indulged the students with their more basic desires, distracted them from their concerns over democracy and human rights, a strategy he kept using throughout his term in power. When the student movement started in 1989, students in different parts of the country marched and organized like wildfire. The students at Shanghai Jiao Tong University, however, closed their doors and held dance parties every day.